turn it over for our digital marketing panel.
Well, thank you very much, Tim. The digital marketing realm is another area where if we don't understand it, just like the autonomous challenge, we don't stay on the cutting edge, we're going to be laps behind. And we have a fantastic panel today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves again. We're keeping it in alphabetical order, and I had to double check the last names there to make sure I had this right. But we're starting off with you, Gene. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Gene Cottingham. I'm a partner at Mix. We're based in Indianapolis. We're a full-service digital marketing firm, but our primary focus is digital advertising. We have an extensive background in motorsports, digital media, advertising technology. We apply our digital formulas to everything from selling gourmet popcorn to self-storage. But today we're going to focus on motorsports.
Fantastic. Welcome aboard. And another person who is no newcomer to RTBC. And that goes for my next guest as well. Ruthie, go ahead and introduce yourself. It's great to see you again.
Good morning, Dennis. Great to be here. I work for a company called Experiential Events Group, but for many of you, you'll recognize it as more commonly known as the agency formerly known as the Richard Petty Enterprises. So we focus primarily in the experiential event space, mostly for OEMs, and we're very heavily automotive. But my background comes from a sanctioned body level, as well as in addition to being a promoter. So a lot of what I bring to the table and what EEG also does is we provide racetrack support services. So I actually have the joy that I actually work and support both of the other panelists in this group. So all together, it's like a giant party. So I'm really glad to be here and glad to be here supporting both of them.
Again, no newcomer to the Racetrack Business Conference. You've worn a lot of hats in the racing and the entertainment business. Mr. Jason Rittenberry, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Dennis. Just wanted to say thanks to you and Tim for having me back again. Always love being a part of the RTBC. I hate that I missed the 1 year and lost my perfect attendance badge. So I've presented or been on a panel at every one of them except one. So I can't go back and redo that 1 year, but love being a part of these, love getting to talk to our colleagues and peers and friends. Just hate, like everyone, we're not at Indy this week, but appreciate you guys putting this together and taking the time to make it virtual. Currently, as you said, Dennis, I have worn a lot of hats in the motorsports world and done a lot of things, but currently our latest venture that we've been working on for about 3 years now is the Music City Grand Prix. Excited to have this new street race IndyCar event here in Nashville next August 2021. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer here. I'm glad to have Ruthie on board as part of our team as well. And prior to my time here at Music City Grand Prix, I worked really in all levels of motorsports, from NASCAR to drag racing to Formula One at Circuit of the Americas. So this is actually my 20th year in motorsports. Makes me feel really old now. I started in 2000, back as a very young 25-year-old general manager of a NASCAR track in Memphis, Tennessee, with no idea what I was doing. So happy to have made it this long, and just appreciate you guys having us on today.
One of the very first tracks that I attended as a media member, and you guys treated the media well down there. Okay, Gene, I'm going to lead off the first question with you. Why is digital marketing important to integrate into any marketing effort that you do, especially in motorsports?
Well, that's a good question, Dennis. Thanks for asking. Especially today, digital marketing is by far and away the best way to reach a customer, especially with digital advertising. It's particularly in the event business, probably 85 to 90% of searches for events start on some sort of search platform. So what's the best way to get in front of those consumers? Well, it's with digital advertising. And what's happened in 2020 particularly is that consumer behavior has changed dramatically. So if you think you know your customer, you don't really anymore. One of the things we specialize in is really digging through the data, staying ahead of things like Google and Facebook and their algorithms changing every day. We've seen changes in search volume, keyword searches. We learned from Google that using the word COVID in advertising is kind of a no-no now. So we've got ahead of that for our clients as well. But certainly the most targeted approach to finding new consumers, reconnecting with old consumers is through digital marketing.
Ruthie.
Well, Gene raises a really, really good point. One of the things that we're discovering both on the experiential side as well as within the racetrack side is that everybody is going to have to kind of start mining for new customers. To Gene's point, consumers have really changed their buying habits, but I don't look at that as a negative. I kind of look at it as a positive in that you now have the ability to get more creative and take a little bit more risk in this particular era and try to source new audiences. In the case of Jason's event, he's going to have a very broad audience because he's going to have a lot of other activities in addition to racing at his event. So he's going to be able to try to look out and reach for and target, concert goers, more of an entertainment type venue audience. So I think it's not necessarily a negative. I look at it as more of a way to reach out and be a little bit more creative in how you're pinpointing and sourcing new fans, new followers, you can look for a wider audience, tap into markets maybe you haven't tapped into before. You can also get more focused on regions. Tapping into different regions maybe you wouldn't have approached before because you thought the radius was too far away from your facility. So Gene raises a really good point. Digital, you can get very, very focused in looking for a wider, it's a better way to cast a wider net. Let's put it that way.
Good indeed. Jason, you're up.
I think Ruthie and Gene brought up the great points about digital marketing. And the one thing that I think why it's important, maybe from a little different aspect, is the opportunity to engage with your fans from a digital marketing standpoint. What you can learn from your fans, you can learn exactly what they're looking for through these searches, allows you to reach a much larger global audience for a lot less money than traditional marketing. And most importantly, you get immediate responses. In some cases, you can track your marketing efforts immediately. You can target those, and you can reach the exact fans that you're looking for and hear feedback from them immediately.
Very good points indeed. Okay, Gene, how specifically can you target using social media to attract, we were talking about diversity earlier today. How can you attract that first time fan and maybe someone who has never paid any attention to motorsports? How can we use social media to target those folks to widen our audience, not just compete for the same motorsports fans?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of ways. First of all, social media has become more of an advertising platform than a social platform. We certainly use things like Facebook to communicate back and forth as individuals, but businesses are really using it primarily for advertising. And you can drill down on certain behaviors, certain attributes. You don't have to necessarily look for a motorsports fan. Maybe it's someone that's searching for outdoor events, hence COVID. So, or maybe they're looking for things to do with their family. Maybe they're looking for, they're just into exciting things like kayaking and mountain climbing and things like that. So you can drill down on those consumer behaviors and then start to connect the dots back to your event, your facility. In the case of Jason's event, music lovers, obviously, the draw to Nashville as a city has become very popular. So there are certain things he can drill into and down on to get new consumers to his event. doesn't necessarily have to be in search of motorsports junkies or IndyCar fans per se. We really just look at certain behaviors, and we also look on the back end at keyword searches. You know, what are people looking for, and how can we connect to those people that are searching for certain things and connect to them at the right time?
Good points indeed. Thanks for that. Ruthie, you're next up.
I think both Gene and Jason kind of raised really, really good points with respect to the fact that this is a way to engage. This is a way to start a conversation. And I think a lot of people they look at social media as a platform to send out their message, but not necessarily to get feedback back in. And I think that's one thing that everybody needs to do, is sort of shift their focus a little bit with respect to their social media strategies and look more towards getting, feedback back in-house to determine what the fans are looking for, so that you can customize and craft new messages to target a wider audience or a different reach. Because like I said, everybody's doing everything differently these days. The fight for the discretionary dollar is, now being spread across multiple platforms. But I think racetracks have an inherent ability to target a wider net because, again, outdoors. So this is an opportunity to kind of reach out to your current fan base and maybe even cast a wider net and send more questions out to bring in more engagement, saying, okay, why do you want to come here? What could we do to bring you in here? What can we do to make it more fun or more safe, or to make you feel better about approaching our facility, whether it's an event or whether it's, day to day, or whether the track has karting or any other activities that are going on, Jason's venue, concerts, etc. However you're shifting your use of your facility. In the case of Christmas, a lot of people are doing different things, light shows, things like that. How can you get people to get more engaged and ask them why they're coming to you, so you can use that as feedback for future campaigns?
Very good. Jason.
Well, Dennis, the thing I like about social media and how we can really use it to impact our businesses is that we can provide so much content. I mean, let's look at what we're promoting and what we're trying to sell tickets to and promote at our events, whether it's a permanent facility or a street race, as we're doing here in Nashville, or any type of event. What are we selling? We're selling fun. What we do is fun. Our industry is fun, whether it's racing or a concert or music, or even a sporting event, whatever we may have at our facility. If it's the Christmas drive-through lights, we have the ability to share that content with our fans and with those potential fans that could become fans of our venues. So we should be using every opportunity we can to share that content, and not just photos, but video. I think Gene could share more details and statistics on this, but I know that from a standpoint of video versus still photos, anytime you can put video in, that's going to increase your interaction, increase your viewers. That's something that, quite honestly, I hate that we're missing here for our event, and you don't really realize it until you don't have it. We haven't had an event yet here in Nashville, so trying to find video and photos and those things we don't have. So we had someone make a comment on I'm not sure if it's Instagram or Facebook or somewhere this week, and said, "Why is the lead photo for your promo video from Toronto?" Well, because we haven't had a race in Nashville yet. So we're trying to create the best content we can to replicate what our event will look like and what the look and feel and the environment of our event will be. And, for us now, promoting a brand new event that we haven't held yet, trying to use other events such as Toronto, Long Beach, St. Pete. We're very fortunate to have some footage, and those other events have been willing to share, and through IndyCar, we've been able to get some footage. So anytime you can add the video or, motion graphics or anything to your social media content, it's really building that fan base and building that viewership and allows people to share that. So that's really where I feel like the benefits to social media over some of the other digital marketing platforms is, being able to share that content and what content you've got available to be able to share.
Gene, we're going to go to you with the next question, and Jason teed it up really good with the video. In addition to being a great marketing source to show those great, exciting sizzle reels of action, it became a replacement because some states would not allow in fans in the stands, but they were allowing the events to go on. So streaming of events became very popular. And some of the outlets, including Speed Sport TV, has been really good at this, is sending those little teasers over on social media to get your interest. My question is, we did so much of this year by necessity because of COVID-19. Did we learn lessons going forward of how to use video and streaming of events, not only as its own source of income, but also as the lure to get fans in the stands?
Yeah, I think unless you've been hiding under a rock for the past 5 to 10 years, everyone has noticed a huge increase in video content. Because you can, like Jason said, you can tell a story in a few short words in a 30-second spot. You can focus on certain aspects of your events. You can get messaging out in a better manner. You can walk people through your facility. You can do a lot of interesting things that are easier to tell on video than, say, in a written word or in some sort of digital advertisement. Video is very powerful. You can show emotion. You can share stories. So if you pay any attention to YouTube, the content there has just exploded in the last few years. But I think, this 2020 situation has forced more and more people to look to virtual events, to look to how to tell a story with video. And it's going to become more important than ever after so many consumers have now had to engage in Zoom meetings, in virtual events. They're improving their own technology at home, at the office. So video will become even more important in 2021.
Ruthie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think everybody knows that, content is king, and everybody knows that obviously video is a much quicker attention grab, right? You sit at home and you catch yourself surfing YouTube videos all the time. One thing I would encourage everybody to look at too is, just because you may not have a massive or significant budget for video content doesn't mean you can't accomplish the same thing with your iPhone, right? I know there's a lot of the larger tracks have bigger budgets and they're, the ability to bring out production crews and things like that, to Gene's point, to create virtual messages and messages to, educate people on how to get through your facility and turn those people that are at your facility into insiders, right? If you can pick up your phone and say, okay, I'm here and here's everything I can see that I need to go and do and direct myself around a facility, but don't discount, sending out your own staff with, their iPhone, because we've all learned that people are just as willing to watch something that's produced on a different level or a lower level as there to produce something that's, watch something that's been, what I would call heavily produced. So, content is key. I think being able to just communicate continually with your fans, and don't look at video as a negative to detracting people. If people can watch it streaming, most of the thought is, okay, then they're not going to come to my event. If they can stay home and watch it on TV, then why on earth would they come out and watch in the stands? Look at it as an enhancement. I think people are more than willing to come out. I think everybody still wants to get out, especially in this particular day and age, everybody's dying to get out, right? So I think you're going to see a rise in attendances at events once the world kind of turns itself back on again. But I also think that video is going to be key to imparting messaging of, how to get here safely, what rules or protocols you might have to go through to get in the door. So educating people about what the challenges are once the world turns itself back on again, I think that is just going to be crucial.
Very good. Jason.
Yes, sir. This is a topic I've been heavily involved with for the past really year and a half. The other hat that I wear in my world is in the music world. And we've really seen with COVID hit and since March, the artist really gone to live stream only. And as Ruthie said, nothing wrong with a video that's recorded on your iPhone. We've seen at the very beginning of this, we saw artists recording from their living room on a bar stool on their iPhone and would get millions of views. And that has continued. And it's really fluctuated really since March till now. In the very beginning, fans were just wanting content, wanting to see these artists. And I only say artists because that's what I have experience with. And I think we can relate that to motorsports and venues and events very easily. But the fans were just dying for some content to see these artists or see, entertainment live. And so they were happy to get just the iPhone footage. But then I think that kind of the newness of that kind of war, and people really wanted something more heavily produced. And so then you saw full concerts being produced. We did a lot of those, in the building that I'm in sitting right now. We've recorded full shows, whether those were for drive-in theaters with Garth Brooks or just really for any live stream for many of these artists. All of the late night and morning Good Morning Americas and all those shows, because of travel restrictions and not being able to be in person, all those artists that are performing are having to do those virtually now. So recording a lot of those and sending that footage to the late night shows or the morning shows. And really, I just share that because you could see how the artists have had to pivot, and we've had to pivot in the entertainment world in general. And I think motorsports is exactly the same. So, we can do the same things. And I agree with Ruthie, just because we're putting it live stream or we're putting it online doesn't mean that folks aren't going to come out and buy a ticket and attend the event. I think they're doing that as a necessity right now, but I think as soon as they can get out and attend and be in person again, they will. And we know our fans, we know motorsports fans, we know that they're diehard. We know that they will be in our venues, and as cool as it is to see live stream or see on your computer screen, you can't really feel it. And that's what our fans want. They want to feel it, smell it, hear it, and you just can't experience that through an internet connection and through a live stream or a TV broadcast. So they will be back. I have no doubt, but I think the live stream and the video content does allow us the opportunity to develop new fans, to create new fans and build new fans that will be available to sell a ticket to once the world returns to normalcy, hopefully soon.
Final thought to wrap us up today.
Well, I
anyways.
would challenge everyone.
Oh, go ahead, Gene. Sorry.
I would challenge everyone to think a little bit out of the box when it comes to digital marketing. Like I said earlier, we focus on digital advertising, but the most important thing that we focus on is measuring that digital advertising. Is it putting, in the case of racetracks, is it putting butts in seats or is it not? Too many times I see marketers just doing fancy awareness campaigns on Facebook or trying to create the next viral video. But in 2021, I think the most important thing that racetracks specifically can do is invest in digital advertising and reach out to new consumers and reconnect with your lost consumers.
Ruthie, a final thought.
Well, the world has significantly changed, and sadly for all of us, it's still changing, it's still evolving. But I think this makes it a really good opportunity for everybody to take the time to get creative. Feel free to take some risks. And digital advertising, as I preach to everybody as often as I can, it is a really good, cost-effective way to find a new audience. It's not as expensive as you think it is. You can target specific groups. You can broaden your reach. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So now's a really, really good time, if you haven't done it before, to dip your toe in the water. While the world is, may look a little bit on the negative side right now, it's a super positive environment for social media and for digital advertising, because content is king and people are starving for it. So now's a really, really great time to get your name out there and to try something new.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Thanks,
Jason,
sir.
take
Just
us
wanted
home.
to, again, thank you guys for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for allowing Ruthie and Gene and I to talk a little today and present our thoughts and ideas. And, not that we shared anything earth-breaking or really novel, but just reminders for those track operators and promoters and folks that are on the attending the conference today, just to get back to the basics and, remember those things that, our fans, our customers, our competitors, everyone, they are online. They're there, they're on social media, they're on all the forms of digital marketing. And so we have our opportunities to reach out to them and be there in their inbox and be in their social media when the world gets back to normal and they're ready for looking for something fun to do for a live event.
Thank you very much, Jason, and thank you to the whole panel. This was a great discussion. Yes, there are obvious points, but sometimes we need a good slap upside of the head for the obvious indeed. Well, that is going to wrap us up for today, except for Tim's final thoughts. But I just want to thank everyone for joining us again this year on the Racetrack Business Conference. Virtual, it was different. But again, once again, we brought some of the most important